Welcome to the League of Extraordinary Heroes 3D Design and Fabrication series, where we build fantasy crafting and war game implements for co-curricular activities and, of course, maximum learning in an educational setting. Mostly we're having a good time, but trying to make sure we have a different culture where we have a little more time being active and not so bound to the screens. So it's a nice blend as we build things and print them out in CNC routers or have them realized in resin, which ultimately gets molds made of it. And then, of course, we're casting foam versions of everything for a more safe and playful environment. This speed sculpt is about the sun, a sun element for our logo. You can make your dragon, your stag, your snakes, your owls, whatever you want it to do on your personal crest. But these techniques apply. Real fast, I just want to point out the top tools that I'm using for this particular process would be the grab tool, the sculpt tool, fill tool, and wax tool. Bulge and inflate probably are close second tier of tools that I would use. I don't use them that frequently except for really specific thing. There's three things you're going to edit every one of these tools as you use them. The strength, the build-up, and the profile. Of course, the strength is how much effect you're getting out of your brush strokes. The build-up is allowing you how they get applied as you keep repeating the process in a certain area. The most important one, I should say, not to be forgotten, would be the profile. The profile is going to allow you to select any one of a preset that allows for a very blocky, chunky one, much like you'd see with the square. Or we can start getting these rounded, soft brushes that have an easy taper in a bell curve. And you can always edit those points to modify them to your requirements based on what you want to make, what feature you're building, and your artistic vision. This speed sculpt is mostly just meant to inspire and show you how I achieved this face. Of course, I'm mostly working on the eye region and then doing a little around the mouth and lips as I'm just going along trying to tweak everything, but for the most part this is about getting the eyes right. Now, a couple words before you dive into your sculpt. Some of you have already started in, but try to build things as broadly as possible with lower resolution. That means not smoothing it too far before you get started. The mesh here is pretty tight. I think is a smooth level of 3, or I think it's 3. You'll see when the brush comes around, there's a little bit of chunky resolution there. It gets a little choppy there, so I have to smooth it out. I think I did an overall smooth pass here because I just wasn't getting the right cut. Now, much like a Chase and Repousse effect, the approach is similar. You're pushing the metal or the wax in. Mostly it's for metal work, for doing armor or decorative ceiling tiles. But the repousse part is where you're pushing the metal backwards from the front. Then the chase is where you flip it over and push the metal back. So you're trying to do this juxtaposition of pushing from both sides back and forth, flipping the metal over and going from the front and pushing really hard from the reverse side so that you can get the right break, the right feature, and just the right effect. Now, each one of these sculpting tools has a couple alternative modes. Mostly, you're going to be brushing along, it's going to be pulling forward, but if you want it to push back, as in the chase effect, you're going to hold down Control. Of course, that's on a PC machine. I think it would be Command for your... No, it might... No, Command versus Alt in Maya. Okay, so in the Macs, you're pushing Command to navigate. We have to push Alt in PC. PC land. Okay, so back to the alternative modes. You're going to hit Shift if you want to do smoothing. If you want to smooth a little section you just pushed in or pulled forward, you're going to hold down Shift. I'm trying to capture something that feels to me like an ancient native look, something very timeless and magnificent with this sun face. So you only really see the eyes. The whole idea was that, is the sun rising or setting? It's up to you. I struggled a bit with this lower eyelid. I didn't want an eye bag. I wanted just to break where the lid is being pushed up by the cheek. And then, of course, as it starts to crest over the lower part of the eye, creating this pleasant, congenial sort of look. If you smile and your eye shapes don't change, you look insincere. And I want you to understand that when you sculpt any kind of a human face for your shields. Or any kind of character face. I guess if you think about even a lion or any kind of thing, horse, unicorn, a stag. Let's see, we have some students making bulls, rams, dragons. You can use all these techniques with your characters, these exact tools. I trust this will inspire you as you create your personal crest to hang on that wall and remind you in all the tough times that what you believe, what you're intending to do, be a designer, a successful creator. And to stay strong when it gets a little challenging, or you've been challenged, whether it be another person, work, or in the department, or just a client is not liking what you do because it's weird communication, you're going to have to stick through it. Stay strong. Now, this video originally took an hour and it narrated the whole thing step by step. I think you get the idea. I thought making it as a speed sculpt in 16 minutes was a better way to take in this information. So, here we go. The face is looking, I'm liking it. I think the lower eyelid's a bit much, but I end up making that a little less prominent. Okay, here I'm using the amplify tool, which, if overdone, can make hideous results. But you'll see it drops the valleys more, it raises the mountains higher. I just wanted more definition in those eyes. It really is important, since that's the part that overlooks the wax seal. Now, here's that chunky brush I was talking about in the Sculpt tool. Whether it was fill or sculpt, wax or sculpt, I'm using the square. Look at that, it's not square. Eventually I use the square brush along the front eyebrow ridge to get a harder break, because you want to think of the face of anything, the faces of anything you sculpt as planes, much like blocking things out and then adding the subtlety and the softness, if need be, as a final couple passes. That's the fill tool right there. Anything that's too low in the face, if you turn the face sideways or look at it from the side, you'll see there was really extreme valleys between the cheeks and the back of the nose. So I brought that up with the fill tool. And then here's the grab tool, which is really quite powerful. I'm able to capture a little zone and softly move, just nudge features in ways that's not even easy to put into words. Don't let that right there fool you. If you start to get chunky edges like that, don't think you have to smooth and smooth. You'll probably blow up your computer. So try to maintain with the level of smoothing that you have and just make your best. But don't let your design start getting lumpy. If it starts doing that, use the fill tool, bring up the lows, bring the low lying information upwards, and try to make things even and keep them all together. Try to make the features as one entire piece. I saw some students just struggling with these. I've recognized that it's difficult because you get sculpting and maybe you're getting too much definition too early and not bulking it up, so there's lots of lumpy effects going on with some of the sculpts. Here's the blockiness that I was talking about. There is the block profile. Look how well it gives me that big, bulky, that big, broad ability to just get those eyebrows looking more classical, more chiseled, more predominant. Ultimately making the sun look more like Mr. Sun. So that seemed to be pleasing. I really wanted to have these very appealing, a pleasant look to the sun. Nothing too aggressive, scowling. That wasn't the goal. You can have a light heart and still be a badass. That's what this logo means to me. Of course, it's always showing that it's all in good fun with the mellow marshmallow tipped swords. Or marshmallow tipped arrows. What do you expect? Well, I trust this has inspired you. You've learned something from it. Of course, you can always ask me in class to further explain or demonstrate things. I'm always willing to do that and work through all the challenges. I've never worked Maya perfectly ever, but I know the workarounds. I know how to trick it out. I know how to overcome challenges, but we'll work through it together. That's it for this video. This is Sir Frederick signing off. Remember to build, play, and revel.